Hello everyone, my name is Asif and welcome to another video from Bitvids. Now in this video we are going to talk about two very important topics in the ESL scene. It is pronunciation and accent. Alright, so let's get right into it. Alright, so in today's video, we are going to discuss about two things. One is pronunciation and the other is accent. Now, one of the first things that I wanted to explain was what is pronunciation and what is accent. Now, we as English language trainers often get this question, how do we improve our pronunciation? And what sort of accent do we use? Do we use British accent or American accent or any other accents for that matter? So we are going to go one question at a time. So let's start with pronunciation. Now, what is pronunciation? Now, pronunciation can be defined as the way a certain sound is produced of a certain language. It does not matter which language it is, right? So any sound of a particular language, the way it is produced, the way it is pronounced, that is what pronunciation is. Now, the question, how do we improve pronunciation? The two most important way to improve your pronunciation in any language that you're planning to learn is learn the phonics, learn the phonetics, right? So these are the most important ways through which you can improve your pronunciation. Now we have a video, introduction to phonics video, which I'll link right up here. So you can click the iCard and then you can see our two videos. The other thing is that phonetics. Now phonics, what is phonics and what is phonetics? Very quickly, phonics is just the basics of the sounds of any language. For example, A, how do you pronounce A, or B, or C, or E for that matter. And phonetics is how many different sounds can that particular vowel or consonant have, right? So that's the difference between phonics and phonetics. So if you can understand, if you can know, if you can start practicing the sounds or the phonics of a certain language, it's very easy for you to master the pronunciation of that particular language. Alright, now as I have said about pronunciation, you have to know a little bit about the phonics and the phonetics. Now, pronunciation just doesn't rely on phonics and phonetics as well. It will also depend on the region that you are from, and that is where accent comes into play. Now, what is accent? Accent is basically pronunciation, but from the different regional take that different pronunciations have. So, for example, English has many different accents. So, as you know, Americans have different accents, British people have different accents, Australian people have different accents. But at the same time, you'll see that even in Britain, there are lots of different accents, right? Different areas in Britain have different accents, right? So, those are accents. Now, one thing is that what sort of accent do we use, or what should we use, what is preferred to be used. Now, there is no preferred, let's say, one particular thing that you should use, one particular accent that you should give a lot more focus on, and then you should ignore the others. No. What am I going to do? I have seen a lot of instructors who focus a lot on let's say speaking about the British or speaking in the American accent. You don't need to do that. You have your own accent. You should follow your own accent. That is the easiest way, and that's also the most respectable way that you can speak in a certain language. Now, why am I saying this? The other reason is that it's also very difficult to pick up an accent. Why? When someone starts learning language, let's say a child is starting to learn a certain language, what happens is this vocal cord, this is kind of like a muscle, right? So you train your muscles every single day. You do a particular exercise, you do an activity every single day, and that becomes an automatic response, right? It becomes a muscle memory. So this is kind of a muscle memory as well. So if you're born in, let's say, America, you will automatically start pronouncing like them. But for us, let's say someone who's from the Indian subcontinent, then it becomes very difficult for us to pronounce in that particular accent, right? So it's very difficult for even in our regional language. Now consider this for an example. Let's say Japan, for that matter. You know, Japanese people, if the Japanese people wanted to speak in English, which accent would they pick? Or what sort of pronunciation would they follow? Now, of course, you see, Japanese people have their own accent, right? There are certain kind of sounds that they cannot produce. It takes them a long time to do so. Does that mean they speak English bad? No, not at all. Even funnier is that the Japanese language doesn't have a dedicated L sound. Something we have L and we use the L sound, the L, that sound. Japanese doesn't have that, right? So it's very difficult for them to pronounce, let's say, family. So it becomes family, right? So it becomes like that. Let's say German for that matter. You see, the Germans, you see the THE, the, now that it becomes Z, something like that, right? So the Russians even, you'll find the Russians, they speak English in completely different way than the Americans or the British. Now, does that mean it's a bad way of speaking English? Of course not. Now, there are many different standards in English as well. There is standard British English, American English, standard Indian English even. So if you find an Indian guy who speaks like, hey, what are you doing? So it is completely fine, and you don't have to follow that, right? Now, another very recent trend, not trend in fact, a very trending video I'd say, was that there was a small child, the little girl about I think 5 or 6 or something. I don't know her age, but apparently she was in the 3rd standard or something. Her video was being shared on different social media platforms, where apparently she was teaching us how to speak in the British English, was it? And now, of course, it's commendable that at someone at her age, she speaks really well. But the thing is, there are a few problems that I noticed, and this is a kind of a response video to that. I mean, something that like had quite a lot of initiation inside me, and I wanted to get this thing out of my chest. That is, she goes on explaining a few pronunciations, right? So something that I can think from the top of my head is the word school, right? So she says, we say like school. That's wrong. But actually it's not. Like she says, you have to say like school, right? And no, I don't need to. Someone who's starting to just learn English, right? Your focus, your goal should mostly be on improving your vocabulary, learning the sounds, and perfecting it. You do not need to learn, or you do not need to perfect the accent. You already have an accent. That is also a part of your identity, right? So you do not need to worry about an accent. Accent doesn't make you a higher or more valuable speaker, right? And not having an accent doesn't make you, let's say, less of an English speaker, or whichever language it is, right? So this is something that was really bugging me in that particular video, that you focus a lot on English accents, right? So don't do that. Focus on learning the language, focus on the structural elements, focus on let's say words, focus on the sounds, focus on the overall structural elements. That will help you a lot more in learning any sort of language for that matter, right? Okay, so the most important advice that I should be giving at this point is that do not worry about your accent. Worry about learning your vocabulary, worry about practicing your vocabulary, and improve your overall structural integrity of the language. Right? Now, the other thing that I would like to point out is that many of you might know what IELTS is. Many of you might even have, you maybe even want to sit for the IELTS test. Now, the IELTS test is the International English Language Testing System. Now, even the world's best language testing system, IELTS, or this test, standardized test, it doesn't require any accent. It doesn't have any sort of prerequisite for an accent, right? So you can go up to, I think I might link the IELTS's page or the link in the description below so that you can go ahead and check it out. Just to give you an idea, me with this half-baked mixed concoction that I concocted, literally a monstrosity that I call an accent, I have a 9 in speaking. Yes. I don't know what you want to call it. So I don't know what accent do I have. I try to make my accent as neutral as possible. But the thing is, your accents don't matter at all. Your accent doesn't matter. If you speak like an American, it's not going to give you an edge. Other than, I don't know, maybe just, a cool factor. I don't know. But again, finally, I just want to say, if that's your cup of tea, go for it, right? Go for it. You can pick any accent that you want. But if not, if you're just wanting to learn the language, focus on the language, right? And call it a day. So you focus on your language, you learn your language, strive to do well in your language. Language learning, which are for example, I just mentioned a little while before, your vocabulary, your grammatical elements and all this stuff. And keep practicing, that's what. Like, practice these and Bob's your uncle. Don't worry about your accent. And all the best for your practice. I really hope this video helps you out. Alright, so my final thoughts about the subject is that if you really want to learn the language, just work on it, right? Don't run after accent. You will pick it up automatically, okay? So don't worry about accent. Practice your language, practice your vocabulary, keep practicing. Work hard, and at one point you'll find that your accent will come automatically, right? So that being said, please subscribe, like this video. If you think it has helped you, like it. If you think it didn't help you, might dislike it if you want. And we have a bunch of social media that you might want to follow. We have a Facebook group where we discuss all of this stuff. You can come and ask us any question. You can also comment down below. And if you want, you can ask us a question here or in Facebook. We have a Twitter if you want to tweet at us. We have an Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. If you help us, if you support us, it helps us grow, right? So that being said, I will give all the links in the description box. Please, you can go and check it out. And thank you very much. Subscribe. What? What?
Subscribe.
Oh, okay. So yeah, please subscribe and also hit the bell notification. Not just subscribe. Hit the bell notification. We'll see you in the next video. All right. And also make sure to check out our other videos. All right. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Okay. Enough. Bye.